It is 4:30. Happy October, everyone. Welcome to the October 2nd, 2023 work session of the Clarksville City Council. Our topic of the day is the Transportation 2020 Plus Plan. I've asked the clerk to call roll just so we'll have a roll of who was in attendance. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
Mr. Zacharias?
Here.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Red? Ms. Markey?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Holloman?
Here.
Ms. Allen? Ms. Reynolds?
Here.
Ms. Straitman?
Here.
Mr. Shekina?
Here.
Ms. Lovato?
Here.
And Mayor Pitts.
Here.
Okay, all members are present with the exception of Councilperson Red and Councilperson Allen.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we get into our program, I want to recognize this good-looking group of young people in the blue shirts, the Mayor's Youth Council, class of 23-24. If you will stand and let us recognize you properly. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. And Erica Clark, who's with the Parks and Recreation Department, is part of the, she and Stephanie Jenkins helped to coordinate the Mayor's Youth Council. Thank you for being here today. Anybody want to sing? Is that why you're standing? No? Okay, that got them sitting down. All right. Okay. Well, good afternoon, and thank you to the council for committing another day to doing the business of the city. As we rolled out and affirmed the Transportation 2020 Plus plan 3 years ago, we wanted a plan that was equitable and forward-thinking. We also knew that there would be a need to view the plan as fluid, especially as our city continued to grow, and grow we have. During our robust economic growth that we've had, our growth spurt, a global economic pandemic where our economy was red hot and continues to set records, and supply chain issues and inflation that continue to be a challenge today and well and into the future, our city employees have done an amazing job rising to and overcoming the challenges. No surprises there. Today, we've got a great example of their work. It's a very informative presentation about the Transportation 2020 infrastructure of our city and the dozens of projects and plans that are in various stages of implementation. The goal is to give you, the council, and the public a comprehensive look at what's going on in our city. You'll see many familiar projects that are at or near completion, and I'm sure you'll be pleased that we are proactively looking at some areas where tweaks or adjustments are being made that will have a significant impact. You'll also get a glimpse of the diligent work of our grants director and how she has a seat at the table when any project or idea is discussed. Next, let me just say thank you to some of the folks that have worked on this. Great thanks to the street department, to David Smith and Chris Cowan specifically, for the bulk of the presentation today. Our communications team, Jimmy Settle and Casey Williams, had a hand in creating the slides and the survey that will be available to the public at the end of the presentation for their feedback. Amy Wilson, our Chief Information Officer, and Ryan Pulley, who's got his back to us back there working the board in the IT department, organized the visuals of today's meeting so that our citizens, whether viewing this live or watching it later, get a clear picture of the progress we're making. Lauren Winters, as we've referred to her as our grants director, has a knack or gift in finding resources we need to offset the financial burden on our city. And finally, our award-winning, and you'll get more information about that term soon, Finance and Revenue Department is also an important player in every single thing we do in our government to ensure we're spending taxpayer money wisely and efficiently. A couple more points before we get started. The presentation by David and Lauren lasts about 40 minutes, give or take. Let me ask you to save your questions to the end, since many of them may be answered during the presentation. You also have a booklet with all the slides that they'll go over to jot your notes or questions down on particular projects, and again, we'll take those questions at the end. This process will also keep the video portion of the presentation flowing so the viewing public can follow it to the end. Furthermore, the slides we're using will be available to the public via a link on our website immediately following our meeting today, along with the video of this presentation. And finally, as was mentioned in an email from last week, if you've got ideas or suggestions, please provide those to David Smith, who will curate them and then categorize them, and will help us going forward to ensure we get this right. We won't discuss your individual ideas today, since the street department will need time to evaluate each one and not react without careful thought. So, without further ado, let me recognize David Smith to begin the presentation. Mr. Smith, you are recognized.
Automatically turns on. Fantastic. Okay, folks, Transportation 2020. We'll open up with a slide, or an image rather, that should be familiar to those that were here at the kind of the inception of the plan. It is an evolving plan, as the mayor mentioned. Items are added and taken away, and we'll get into some of that. It's obviously far too small to see, but the link there at the bottom, both for yourselves and the public, will take you to the original image with the correct legend and scale. Note that, of course, each one of those color codes to a project that's happening, and obviously we're covering the entirety of the city with any one of those projects. Kind of the outline that we've got today, we've got a tier overview, and I do want to provide a distinction. I'll say tier often, but I'll say phase more often than that. Phase and tier are not to be used as synonymous. Phasing of projects, we might have a phase 3 of a project that's actually a tier 1. So sorry about that. I do work with engineers, and they're rather algebraic at times. We're going to start with that, and of course move into the new road projects. That will be new road development. We'll roll into road widening, intersection improvements, sidewalks. We'll talk a little bit about federal and state routes, and then ultimately Lauren's going to come up and summarize everything with grants and how those are awarded and the application process and some of those that are already underway. Finally, there'll be a point at the end for Q&A and the link to the survey. A lot of the format is going to sound redundant, especially within each one of these items. We're going to give you the same data for each one of the projects, so just bear with me. It's going to be a lot of numbers and whatnot. So first up, we've got the 3 different tiers of projects, and I do want to note on the right side, we're going to go through all of these projects, so I'm going to skim through these quickly for time's sake, but I want to note on the right side of the different stages that we're going to talk about today: construction, design. We're going to mention right-of-way and some of those terms are going to come up. Future funded on the subsequent slides going to come up. Partially complete, and then of course, if you look at, for example, the Vulcan property sidewalk, pending private development. We've got a number of projects that we saw a need for, that the private development has also seen a need for, and they're completing a portion or all of those projects, again, as you'll see. And again, we'll get through all of these, so I don't want you to think I'm skimming through too quickly. Those are some of the tier 3 projects, and again, most of those are at the future funded stage because they're just that far out. So opening up with new road projects, the shiniest of those items, the Spring Creek Parkway. Whether it's dollar value or just the scale of the project, it is the largest road project Clarksville has undertaken. Phase 1 of the project, which is underway right now, and we'll get into those details in a moment, is from Trenton Road to where the bridge will begin just past the PUD application that you guys have seen recently. That part is underway. Phase 2 carries the project, including the bridge, all the way to Wilma Rudolph, and actually traverses the intersection at Wilma Rudolph because we need obviously some improvements made to the other side to align that intersection for that phasing to work out. Very important to note, and again, I'll reiterate this in a moment, that that portion of the project is right now budgeted at around $30 million. $20 million of that has been approved by the MPO. The final phase carries you past the mall and tees into Ted Crozier at an existing stub. What does some of that look like? Of course, rather, that's our fancy signals there. Right there, those are 2 new signals that will be added. Thank you, Councilman Trotman. Right there at Trenton Road, and of course at Wilma Rudolph, presently unsignaled intersections. There are other signalized intersections that I'm sure will take place as this road develops, but those will likely be privately funded unless there's a need determined by us. The bridge in phase 2. This is a profile of the bridge, a typical section showing that there is a multimodal path on one side and 8-foot roughly sidewalk on the other. Believe it or not, it was actually cheaper to build 2 bridges than it is to build just 1 bridge. The engineers gave us the opinion of probable cost on that, so that was shocking to me. But it does show, again, just a cross-section of the width of the bridge, travel lanes, and then the mobility for pedestrians. This is Highway 109 in Gallatin. That's a newly constructed bridge, and that very much mirrors what this bridge in phase 2 will look like. Obviously with less water. Spring Creek, not quite that much water, not lately. Trenton Road connection. This is one of the cameras. We're trying to put cameras in anywhere we've got one of these plans so that when your constituents ask, you can point to. This is development. This is the 2020 plan. So this is the road cut, or the construction entrance rather, at Trenton Road. And obviously they're moving a lot of earth out there for phase one to be done within the deadline. And we'll get through some of those dates in a moment. This is the Wilma Rudolph connection. Moment of silence for Dairy Queen. But the 5-lane section that's there, the grass median comes out. We've added some striping to provide just movement of traffic. And obviously we're picking up a little bit more width there to give us some room. And again, alignment directly across the street. It's a bit offset now. It'll be perfectly aligned and signalized when that portion of the project is complete. And then again, that is part of phase 2, not 3. Phase 3, we did not park a street department track. That was just by happenstance that the tractor was out there, but that is one of our mowers. And that is the connection there at Ted Crozer Boulevard, just behind the mall, and of course behind the bulk of the hotels out towards exit 4. The numbers on this project. So again, obviously the purpose of this is to help alleviate the congestion that exists now on Trenton Road, to move that traffic free-flowing to Wilma Rudolph and our highest density areas in that area. Phase 1, again, contracted at $15 million, is underway with a deadline of winter of 2024. Phase 2, the intent there is to start an award bid as phase 1 is wrapping up. We feel like we'll get some better numbers there while those contractors and subcontractors are out there and they don't have to demobilize. We'll nudge TDOT to that effect, as a matter of fact. And again, 2/3 of that total project phase would come from TDOT. I will point out, when we do involve TDOT, and Lauren can speak to this a little bit later, we do have a couple extra steps that we have to go through, and it can stymie the process a bit. Phase 3 at $6 million is out there. It's, by the time we get to phase 3, it probably won't be $6 million if we attach kind of just the natural inflation that occurs, year to year. When's that going to start? Again, that's another, but we hope to be done with phase 2 by, well, we can't declare it yet. 2026, it's a bridge project. Those can be tall. Next one up, Rossview Road. This was originally a single phase, and to get this done a little bit faster, and of course QT had a hand in that, we split this up into 2 phases. This was our original intent was to realign Dunbar Cave Road to Cardinal Lane, signalize that, and then of course widen Rossview Road to Page Estates. Phase 1's complete. It was completed at $4.5 million. The intersection improvements at QT largely borne by that organization. Phase 2 is projected to be $8 million. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 bidding this winter. We had a bat study that just came back. We've sent that over to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and we hope to be done with phase 2 by spring of 2025. What does that look like? You may have heard about it. Phase 1 there in the orange is already complete. Phase 2 will cul-de-sac the end of what is existing right now for Dunbar Cave. It will no longer intersect with Rossview, and in lieu of, it aligns, as you see illustrated there, with a traffic signal at Cardinal Lane. The bottom left corner of the image there is again, the street profile. This will have sidewalks on either side of the roadway, and this project does have the grass buffers and so on, providing a little bit of spacing there. So this is another one of our new road projects. Powell Road connection. The benefit here, we identified the need. If we went back to the second slide, you'd see that the street department determined there was a need for Dunbar Cave to alleviate some of the congestion on Powell Road. And this has been privately funded. This came through the Planning Commission, and this is how the private developer intends to develop. They can't move forward with the project unless they complete this road in its entirety. So as to details, as to when that's going to complete, total project cost, we don't have that information. But again, this is something that came off of, again, that evolving document that is Transportation 2020. Still on the radar, but not going to be a local tax project. Tier 3, way down the road, the need to connect Kennedy Lane to some point in Meriwether Road. That is a line drawn on a map. I don't know what the topography is out there. It has to cross a creek, and I believe it's Spring Creek. So obviously we try to find the most progressive route, the most cost-saving route to do that. That's not it. That's just, again, a hypothetical for that. So estimated cost right now, extremely soft at $15 million. And again, that's a Tier 3 project. On to the road widening projects. Whitfield Road. Guys, you'll see across this that we've got the school's logo up at any one of the schools. There's a lot of information on the images, and we found the names of the school were being lost in that. So you'll see those images, and hopefully we have them all right. There are two different profiles here for Whitfield Road approaching the roundabout. To the top left, you've got the 5-lane section, of course, with sidewalks on either side, and the 3-lane section as the roadway tapers in either one of those directions. And you can see, again, the span of this project carries north, south, east, and west in each of those directions with widening to help, again, alleviate with the congestion. As mentioned previously, we've got the traffic cameras up observing the construction. There are a lot of questions that we get on the regular about how this roadway development will take place. Right now, they're working in 5-hour increments as to not congest the school traffic and parent pickup and so on. When the binder and the asphalt is applied on the left portion of this image, the right side will be milled and then repaved, and that will allow us to move forward with the development of the roundabout portion, which is hopefully the next slide up. There we go. Some of you may have seen this image, this animation. This was provided by our consultant very early in the 2020 plan. It shows what the concept is for the area, that there are dedicated free-flowing lanes, and then there are lanes that enter into and can traverse the roundabout, complete with crosswalks and so on. Again, this is just an animation. And we spoke to the boundaries or the termini of the project. The estimated cost for the project at $13 million, and of course we are under contract, so that is a pretty good number. It was initiated 2021, and there's a certain acronym that led to a significant delay at that project. And we estimate that completion, I won't say it. We estimate we'll see a picture here in a minute. Estimate completion to be fall of 2024. Talbottown Oakland Road, we all know Gary. Gary has a better following than I do. On the backside, you'll see a similar delay. I want to point out that kind of delay will not take place at the Tylertown Road widening that was just bid. This is going to widen Tylertown Road. Phase 1 is going to widen Tylertown Road from the intersection there at Trenton all the way to Cindy Joe Court in a 5-lane pattern with sidewalks on either side at a cost of $13 million. Again, that's bid right now, so that number, when we get that number back, I can update that. Phase 2 will be from Cindy Joe Court, includes a roundabout at Tylertown and Oakland continues down to Meriwether. The Phase 2 portion is nearly exclusively the 3-lane pattern that's there. It's estimated that we're going to start Phase 1 winter of this year, and that we should complete that summer of 2026. When I say start, let me speak to that briefly. When I say we're going to start in winter, we will. We have probably close to 2 years of utility relocation that will take place. This isn't, we're putting pavement down in winter. So when you do speak to your constituents, please, let them know there's a lot of utilities relocate to get this road widened to a 5-lane section. This is an image of the roundabout that's proposed. Note that again, we're trying to align. That's Isaac Drive to the north, and Tylertown runs left to right on that image. And we're picking up Oakland Road there on the southern portion. And again, the existing connection will become a cul-de-sac. We've already acquired the house and some of the right-of-way necessary for this. Memorial Drive widening, we're at the right-of-way phase on that, the design phase. We're estimating that cost will be around $31 million. That includes a potential connection at Old Farmers Road. We see a need for it. It helps out with congestion in the area, and hopefully it cuts down rather on some of the cut-through traffic through some of those neighborhoods that exist right now. We estimate the start of that widening project isn't going to take place for some time. We're looking at spring 2025 with a completion of around the same time frame in 28. Obviously, there was a need, and we identified the need early, and the signalization, which you may have seen, is in place already. We did what we're calling a temporary signalization against the existing traffic pattern. We'll show a video here in just a moment of that, but this again is the 3-lane typical section that you see pictured in the picture with sidewalks, including the grass buffer. Again, a 2020 project. We've got the cameras in place, and what we obviously anybody that's been out there, you've got this left turn and you've got the right turn. You had this intermediary that backed up traffic, caused accidents, that sort of things. Now from either lane, you've got either a left turn or a left or right turn, and it clears traffic, clears the queue. The time of day event we have out there for school traffic from 2 to 6 has really helped out with the backups, and we've had a lot of positive comments on that. We've adjusted the time of day event and the detection equipment out there a couple of times, and we think we're pretty close to a sweet spot, if you will. Needmore Road, phase 1 of Needmore Road, the original terminus, or the inception, of course, there is at Tiny Town, but the original terminus was going to be at Boy Scout Road. And, as these years have gone by, the development has continued beyond the racetrack and Cardinal Creek subdivisions there now. And we've extended phase 1 to Spring Creek. Again, it's common. There it tapers down to a three-lane section. What's pictured here on the bottom left is the 5-lane section that includes a multimodal path and the standard sidewalk width on the one side. Estimated cost for phase 1 is $26 million. We hope to start fall of 2025, and that's a big one. So that estimated completion at 2028 is a shot in the dark. Hopefully fall of 28, hopefully not winter. The signal is already in place. Again, another opportunity to go ahead and install the signal where the need existed, there at Pisgah at Hazelwood. Phase 2 picks up at or about the same point at Spring Creek and carries all the way to Trenton Road, and it will tie into an existing pattern 3-lane at Needmore Road, just on the other side of Trenton. This is a big one that obviously $55 million is, when we get to that point, if we applied a little bit 5% inflation per year, that number is going to change. But it does carry the 3-lane section throughout. It does traverse, of course, our intersection improvements at Whitfield Road, but it is completion and the phase. It's one of our future funded phases. Hazelwood Road, again, the signal's installed here on the left side of the image, and this is a widening to a 3-lane section, again with sidewalks on either side. What the intent with this would be, the blue image or the blue portion of this line is the existing pattern that Hazelwood follows, and it ties in offset from the CMCSS Northeast network. And obviously everybody's been out there, we've seen the images, we've seen the videos, it's really congested. This gives us an opportunity to tie in at Spring Creek. So Spring Creek Parkway will be the blue line that's there, and that will bring us into a signalized intersection, allowing traffic to come out safely at that area. Estimated cost of that, $28 million. It is a future funded, it's not presently funded. So that's, it widens it, again, sidewalks, and picks up some potential tie-in to Spring Creek. Another future, this is tier 3, so the numbers here, guys, exceptionally soft, and I apologize for it. We've got a private connection. This is the Southampton, this is Starbucks entrance, kind of behind Kohl's and adjacent to or parallel to Spring Creek. It's anticipated that private development will tie Southampton to Spring Creek, and then our intent would be to tee off of that and alleviate some of the congestion from those residential areas that presently are going through Union Hall Road to Needmore or out to Trenton to make it to the interstate. Pea Ridge Road, another one of our private developments. You guys have seen this site a lot recently. This is the PUD that's there. I will say that our portion of the project was estimated at $6.5 million. That number is awash at this point. The developers that are out there are going to improve the roadway, not quite to Tracy Lane, just north of Tracy Lane, but our project would carry it all the way down to Briarwood. It's important for us to capture as-builts as they finish before we design our project. So when they wrap up and they install, our engineers will go out there and survey that, and then we'll tie in that remaining piece. Intersection improvements, moving on from roadway widenings. Exit 1, we've got a signal that's going up. We've got some, we're going to light the ramps coming on and off. And we've got what are called some high mast lights that you've seen out at 374 that will light the entirety of the intersection. That is a fall project that is already bid, that's already under contract, and it's under contract at $1.5 million. So look for some alleviated traffic issues out there in the near future. We're told that the delays to traffic will be marginal. They're going to be drilling and installing those lights from off of the roadway. So just some folks probably gawking a little bit at that, but that should be the bulk of it. The Adaptive Signal Program from, this is a TDOT grant. It's $1.5 million grant this is a tough one. This is AI for me, guys. This is a really, really neat program. In essence, I'll give you the example of this, and we'll go into the dates. If there's a closure on the interstate or something like that, and traffic absolutely bottlenecks and backs up. This green lights the entirety of Wilma Rudolph to bleed traffic off of and alleviate. Now that's just one example. It could be any one of those connecting streets. If there was a closure, if there was a significant amount of congestion, it's not us manually going in and adapting a time of day event, or if there was some kind of any number of things, fair, who knows. The signals do that automatically. That's proposed to start this winter and be done just in a year's time. So that should help with congestion along Wilma Rudolph. And again, the terminus there is Warfield Boulevard all the way to Alfredton. We have 3 intersection improvements that are coming up. 2 of those are TDOT. One of those is not a TDOT related project. The Tinytown and Allen Road is Tinytown Road, so that's obviously TDOT, as is Fire Station Road. Dunlop and Ted Crozier is not, and so that's where we asked our contractor to start. Note the north orientation here. The hospital is actually to the top of this image. Everybody's been to this intersection. We've all used the apron there on the right side to turn right onto Dunlop Lane. We're going to make it legal, hopefully. Also, based on our traffic counts, the left turn lane from Ted Crozier onto Dunlop, the queue time and just the volume is significant. Adding a left turn lane should help with that traffic there as well. Of course, as a part of this, the crosswalk that is completely eroded will be restriped through that area, connecting the network of sidewalk to the north. Estimated cost is $750,000. Estimated to start late fall 2023. We just bid this. I would say that the total of the next 3 projects is probably going to come under, believe it or not, the estimated cost, but I'll let you know. Fingers crossed. Allen Road and Tinytown Road. The development to the south of this, Folly Beach, was developed privately, and the interest here is capacity to the north. Allen Road needs to be widened. We need free-flowing traffic to the right. There's I think 400 unit apartment complex coming to the northwest portion of this property. So we need to move traffic out. Hopefully we can get Allen Road set to be paved this year. Hopefully we can get these intersection improvements done concurrently where we kind of marginalize our impact. Total cost of this intersection is $350,000. Again, estimated, these 3 are all estimated to start at around the same time, late fall this year, completing in the spring. Fire Station Road, the third of those that went out and has come back is estimated at $1.5 million. Same threshold, and this is a network of widening and intersection improvements. This widens to 3 lanes, and sorry, that's fuzzy. My apologies. But right now you've got a lane in and a lane out on Fire Station Road, and that's all. This gives us a little bit of extra width to provide a straighter left or a right turn. There's a lot of development in that area. Whataburger principally, and maybe something else just to the north. So that could be a straight or right arrow and a dedicated left. We'll see where the consultants come back on that when we start painting. And there you go. Okay. Those are a little easier to see. There are 4 others in the hopper. Hornbuckle at 76, Old Russellville Pike at Dunbar Cave, Henry Place at Peters Mill just south of the West Creek School Complex, and Summit Crest at Wilma Rudolph. These are all funded phases, funded intersection improvements that we're working towards and that will be next up. Moving into sidewalk projects, there are a lot of these. I apologize. We'll get through them, and just if I drone on, let me know. We'll start with what's completed. These are school-related projects, but these are not part of that separate fund that was established. So yes, these are and do create connectivity to schools, but they weren't part of that again. So this is 4,400 foot on Barker's Mill at Cincinnati. That obviously ties directly into Barker's Mill Elementary at a cost of $1 million. And again, that network of sidewalks is all complete. It is to the edge of curb in those lower traffic areas. South Jordan Road also complete in behind the Minglewood network at 5,600 completed feet at a cost of $1.4 million. And you've got the terminus there would drive to Cunningham Lane, and the number of houses served within that half-mile radius of the school. Peters Mill sidewalk, and there we've got Burns Darden, who are the Dolphins, I guess. Total length 6,500 foot along one side of Peters Mill Road. This is a TAP application, and Lauren will speak to kind of what that program is. And there are the number of houses served along that route. This does create connection. I do want to point out, this is, when you look at the maps, you'll see some black striping along some of the roadways. And when you have this on your iPad, you should be able to zoom in closely and see those. There are already sidewalks up to Dale Terrace. So this creates that connection that it's disjointed presently. So you will have sidewalks along Peters Mill from Dale Terrace, and everywhere they run north of there, all the way to Providence Boulevard. Liberty Park, we'll call this 3 phases. These aren't 3 tiers, but 3 phases of sidewalk. Phase 1 complete. You've seen it outside of the rec and in front of Liberty Park Grill. Phase 2, we expect to be at construction in spring of 2024. It's on the other side of the roadway. Phase 3, the 1,600 foot of sidewalk along Riverside Drive. There's a couple different, again, that's a tier 3. There's a couple different concepts on how that's going to connect, where that's going to connect. So we're still considering that. But again, the number of homes that are served by that sidewalk within that area. Greenwood Avenue, another TDOT grant project, is sidewalk on one side of the roadway. Again, you can see, again, I apologize for the scale of the imagery. We wanted to capture the breadth of the sidewalk. Presently, the sidewalk stops just south of Cleveland Drive along Greenwood Avenue, and it resumes on Edmondson Ferry Road, obviously just north of Ashland City Road. So this connects, again, between 2 pieces of sidewalk that presently don't connect at a cost of just under $1 million, and construction expected to begin on that summer of 2024. And then again, the number of homes that are served within that area. Tiny Town Road sidewalks. We've got Barker's Mill to Hazelwood, sidewalks on both sides of the roadway. They are 5-foot sidewalks on either side of the roadway. The number of homes, we left this image the way that it was just to show the sheer number of parcels that are served by this network of sidewalk. It's really impressive how many homes we can help with this segment. Estimated cost at $23.4 million. And again, 5-foot sidewalks on either side, expected to begin construction in summer of 2024. Richview Road, Memorial to Madison. This is, we will call at this stage conceptual. I've got the TDOT note that's there. You'll remember in the legislative committee, one of the things that that was forwarded was for this area to be developed well north of here along Warfield Boulevard. There is another component here that supplements the school network system there, and we'll jump into that. But our estimated cost right now to provide sidewalks on Memorial to Madison from in front of Richview and CHS is $3.6 million. Outlaw Field, again, one of those tier 3s at 5,800 foot at a cost of $4 million. Add sidewalk to just one side of Outlaw Field Road from Tiny Town to Jack Miller Boulevard, and that's the number of houses served there at 1,300. Again, tier 3, so future funded, the cost is extremely soft. Jumping into these are the funded, these are the school focused projects. So this is all pulling from that same unique fund. They're in front of Pisgah along Hazelwood Road. The first of those at 2,500 foot at roughly $500,000 would be sidewalk on just the one side of the roadway. As the roadway develops, sidewalk would pick both sides of the roadway. But for now, it's just that southern portion connecting between 2 segments of sidewalk and crosswalk that are presently protected by crossing guards. And there are the number of homes at just under 1,100 homes being served by this particular component. The Rossview sidewalk, I do want to point out that the guys are on site today. This is one of those that we're doing in-house. This was an existing sidewalk easement that was required when the subdivision was platted, and we're simply developing it. So it's a couple fences came down, and we're cutting in our sidewalk to help the network, and of course create a crosswalk there where students can get safely across. Cardinal Lane also up for paving this year, so they should see a lot of improvements out there in that area. This is in-house, so the cost is very low at $56,000, and there's the number of homes serviced. We anticipate this and one other that I'll speak about here in a moment to be completed by fall break, so just right around the corner. There are 2 pieces of the northeast sidewalk. The first is off of Eagles Bluff, and it ties into the school systems road there on the northeast complex. The yellow shaded area there below is the Spring Creek Parkway. And if you can envision the Hazelwood Road alignment or the realignment and that sort of stuff all kind of coming together, this is one that we probably won't do in-house. We were ready to move forward with this, and there was a property owner who is now deceased, and we've kind of had to drop back a little bit on that one. The cost of this section at $80,000, give or take. We expect that to go up just a tinge. Again, construction spring of 2024, and just under 600 houses served. On the other side of the complex, again, this one will be in-house, is around 1,000 foot section of sidewalk at $300,000 to be constructed again, the intent, we're going to be close to finish this with the weather cooperates. We'll be finished with this one by the time the kids come back from fall break. So there's already some sidewalk out there coming off of Glenhurst Way, but it doesn't create the connection. East Street sidewalk, and the next couple kind of run together, East Street and Beach. But this particular component, again, there at Burns Darden at 1,400 foot is going to cost an estimated $420,000. A lot of these, you've heard this a couple times over, a lot of these are going to start in the spring of 2024. The hope is that we can award this to a single contractor at a savings. The next section, again, between the two, makes the turn along Beach Street and presently terminates at the Pocket Park that was just installed by Parks and Recreation in concert with CNCS, and I think every city department had a hand in that. It was great. The length of that section is 520 feet at a cost of $150K. Again, spring of 2024. Notable that the property just to the north of the Pocket Park just came through for rezoning, and it's going to be multifamily, and of course they're going to be required to put in sidewalks. So as that area continues to develop, sidewalks will continue to be required. The Ringgold Road sidewalk is in the right-of-way phase, and we've just had great news from our gas and water folks that the utilities aren't going to have to be relocated for that project. So 3,700 foot, give or take, one side of the roadway at $1.1 million, and there, of course, are the number of that are home served to help support the Eagles. Old Russellville Pike, this is a sidewalk connection just across from St. Bethlehem Elementary, connecting to existing sidewalk at a cost of $417,000. This is going to be roughly 1,400 square foot or 1,400 linear foot, and will help with those 929 houses within that half-mile radius of the school. Crossland Avenue, I've got tapped there because, again, Lauren will speak to you about what that is, but that is a TDOT project that we're working on. It's roughly 6,400 foot at a cost of $1.6 million. Lauren will get into the break of that, but it's an 80-20 split with the state. The 2,400 houses that are served, and this includes a pedestrian crossing, so a crosswalk at Madison Street that will get folks across safely there in front of Lowe's. Roadier, it doesn't look like this one connects, and I do want to point that out, but it does connect to the Marys Oak Trailhead, so it does pick up the Greenway, which of course is a network of sidewalks that gets folks to the Kenwood complex safely at just under 1,100 foot and $270,000. And then, of course, the 1,170 square or houses that are served within that half-mile radius of the school. North Liberty Church sidewalk. I've got the mayor's attention. Hang tight. One really cool component here, again, if you look at the shaded areas around the roadway, this is the missing link, if you will. This completes the network of sidewalks around the entirety of the school. Expected to be in the same threshold summer of 2024 at $416,000. I don't. Maybe somebody from IT can find out what happened. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there. The Richview network of sidewalks. This is actually 3 separate phases that we're going to try to tackle as much of this as we can in-house. So we went ahead and put those 3 phases together. This is going to create some connectivity along Richview Road into and along the school system's route, obviously servicing Crow Center as well, our own community center, and then tying into Richview. Roughly 2,000 square feet at $606,000. And again, the hope is to do that in-house. So federal and state routes, let's talk about that for a minute. Any of those things that's orange or yellow, those are either federal or state routes that traverse this jurisdiction. And there's projects that are within those that are going to come up or be of interest. What are those projects? Well, let's talk about some of the road names that we've got. Those are the state or federal highway designations to the left. And then our local names, Ashland City Road, of course, Trenton Road is a big one, Tiny Town, Dover Road, Wilmer Rudolph. Some of those roads obviously have the same name depending on what portion that you're in. Some of the TDOT projects, and I won't speak to budget or when they're going to be complete per se, but I'll speak to the stage. There have been a lot of questions of our office about signalizing 12 Oaks there at Plantation Estates, and that's already underway and being designed by the state to signalize that component. Highway 374, another big one that we have. When is that going to be continued to Highway 149? When will the bridge be built? I can say that they are in the environmental phase, but they continue to re-up the environmental phase, so I can't speak to when they'll be at full design on that. Providence Boulevard at Burns Darden Elementary, they've got some traffic calming and some signals that they have designed to install there in front of the school system where it intersects Providence Boulevard. Madison Street at 76, we've seen the bulk of that. The project has actually continued in multiple directions, and now they're kind of focusing their efforts on the intersection itself. And that project includes sidewalks that ultimately will carry you to McAdoo Creek Road. Again, that's a TDOT project. Trenton Road, Tylertown to Needmore, that's in design. I would not guess as when that will be, when that project will be complete, but it is from Tylertown to Needmore Road. So every portion that in essence hasn't been developed yet, that's in the design phase. They'll move into right-of-way design, right-of-way acquisition, and ultimately they'll get through to construction and the slowdowns. Richview Road, Dunbar to Madison, again, that was one that we sent forward, and that's the reason the one project isn't on a shelf but is tier 3, because the hope is that TDOT would do that project in lieu of the city of Clarksville. I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, but I'll be back up for questions.
Now comes the fun part, free money. Good evening, my name is Lauren Winters, and I'm the Grants Director for the City of Clarksville. I have been in this role for a little less than 2 years, but prior to being in this role, I've been with the city for 12 years, working directly with the budget. So if anybody can appreciate the importance of grants, it's me, to achieve our infrastructure goals. My goal as the Grants Director is to seek opportunities that not only align with our needs, but also making sure we have developed projects that are worthy of a competitive award. Grant funding is a great tool to accomplish many of these projects that you've seen tonight. However, grant funding admittedly does add additional steps which require both patience and often perseverance to complete the project. This evening, I want to share with you some of our current awards and applications so you can see how grants are helping us achieve this. So first, grants a year in review. Since September of 2022, the city has applied for 7 separate street-related grant applications. 2 of those applications have been funded and 3 are still in review with their awarding agencies. Additionally, we have 1 active application that will be submitted at the end of this week. Hold on, flip. Okay, so TAP. I'm not going to tap dance for you. You would not want to see it. TAP in my world is Transportation Alternatives Program. These applications open each August and they run through October of each year. It does require a 20% local match and it only pays for construction. The average award for these projects is about $1 million, and you can submit more than 1 application at a time. It is important to note that you might notice where we do TAP applications that pull from a Tier 2 project and we're still trying to achieve Tier 1. It is because it pays for that construction phase. So we have to be forward thinking and look and see, okay, if we're going to apply this fall and it's going to be spring when we find out, what do we have that's going to be in the queue? So it's not that we're picking and choosing. It's, again, we are having the best project for our competitive bid award. Speaking of TAP applications, September of 2022, we submitted applications for Greenwood Avenue and Peters Mill Road. Greenwood Avenue, as you saw in a previous slide, was funded, and it is in the process of initiation with TDOT. And then Peters Mill Road was not awarded last year, but it was encouraged to resubmit the next cycle. This September of 2023, we submitted Crossland Avenue and Peters Mill Road, and we anticipate hearing back from those in late spring of 2024. We did revamp the Peters Mill Road application because we're not going to submit what didn't stick. So we improved it this time. Additional TDOT funding opportunities. They joke with me in my department. I speak a lot in acronyms, so I'm trying to break it down for y'all. Transportation Modernization Act, TMA. The intent is to provide the state with innovative tools to address traffic congestion. This is an opportunity for local governments to identify where they have committed funds for transportation, and TMA funds would assist in advancing the project. I unofficially call this the wish list. This is how we get on a wish list with the state. This submission helps get your project on the state's radar for possible funding this year or in subsequent years. And in August of 2023, we submitted Tylertown and Oakland Phase 2 for consideration. Next is the Surface Transportation Block Grant. Say that 3 times fast. STBG. And we are currently in the process of submitting for a Phase 2, Spring Creek, an STBG. It requires a 20% local match. There are certain items that are 100% reimbursable, including pavement markings, traffic control, signalization. last but not least, this is one that I'm really excited about. Again, acronyms, SS4A, Safe Streets for All. This was an opportunity that we applied for. It is split into an action plan grant and an implementation grant. The city applied for the SS4A action plan grant by way of the MPO. The amount awarded increased significantly when applying as an MPO versus a city. If you've ever had a conversation with me, I joke that I'm a government couponer, that there are coupons out there in the federal and state government, and I want the city of Clarksville to get those. When I pulled out my sales ad and I looked to see what was on sale, we could apply for additional funding going as an MPO than just as a local government. So that is why we went that route. We were awarded the action plan grant, and the MPO has hosted a kickoff meeting with Neil Schaefer, who is the consultant that was selected. We had that mid-September last month. We have both our police, streets, neighborhood and community services, communications, grants, and the MPO serving on that steering committee to assist the consultant in creating the plan. This plan will be complete and available for adoption and review by this council in spring of 2024. We will then use this action plan to apply for implementation grants, and there are 3 additional years of funding. So this isn't an exercise we're doing in vain. I will share, this is off script, but here I go. One of the main things that when I saw this opportunity come across was I follow, because of police grants and THSO, anytime there's pedestrian fatalities or anything like that, there is an immediate need for Safe Streets for All. So that is why I'm very, very excited that we are going to have this professional make this action plan, and there will be identifiable things that we can put forth and then go find our funding. So. And then last but not least, this is the survey that David was speaking about, and I will let the mayor take it over.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Thank you, David. David, if you'll come up. Lauren, don't go far. And if any council member has a question or comment about what we've reviewed so far, just light your button and we'll be ready to go. And boy, it is lit up like a Christmas tree, David.
That's okay.
Hope you brought a change of clothes. All right. Councilperson Streetman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make mine quick. First of all, I mentioned this before, but I want to say thank you for the signalization at Memorial and Martin Luther King Boulevard. I've traveled through there myself, and it is so much easier, and I feel so much safer going through there than I'm darting across the traffic. So I thank you for all your work on that. I still want to submit my list to you. I wanted to wait until I heard the presentation tonight.
Sure.
So one of my questions would be, in regard to that same area, one of the reasons that I pushed for that area to be included on the transportation plan, and Mr. Cowan, I know, has heard this, but was the concern of the through traffic that we had over there. Is there any way, and I know we'd want to wait a little while, obviously, with just having it put in there and kind of get people accustomed to going through there, but could we consider a no through traffic sign going through, and I don't know if I need to put that on my list. I'm not expecting you to remember it tonight with everybody else that's going to speak as well.
I think the list would be great for any suggestion that comes forward tonight. That way we have it recorded in email and can consolidate all of those things. I think obviously traffic counts, something we want to monitor to see, how many, we've already got pre-capture information, how much that has been mitigated by the signal. It's going to take some time for our local folks to learn. We still have folks stopping at what was the old stop bar. We have folks that aren't using the right left turn lane just yet. They're still staging up. So we're trying to give folks as much time as possible to acclimate. We're leaving the signage in place to alert for the signal to obviously mitigate the risk of any kind of collision, that sort of stuff. So at some point, yes, I think it's prudent to go back and capture that data once the folks have acclimated locally.
Well, and I also want to say thank you for the crosswalk or the inclusion of the crosswalk at Madison Street and Crossland. I know there's a lot of neighborhoods down in there that could utilize that, so thank you. I know we've talked about that one, so I appreciate that. That's all I have, and I'll let the rest in. You'll be getting my list soon.
Okay, thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna try to go quickly.
Okay.
My first question is, on this Spring Creek Parkway, I know it's built up into phases now and eventually will probably cross Trenton Road. Are there plans for, the roadway to go over major intersections instead of having to stop? Example, like Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, the roadway goes, there's not.
Well, no, not at Wilma Rudolph. The plan.
No, I'm just saying in general, on this Spring Creek Parkway, if and when we cross Trenton Road headed west, are there plans to try to go over those roadways instead of stopping traffic at the street level?
Presently, they're at grade, so everything that's being designed is at grade.
Okay. All right. On the sidewalk projects, that are on school system property.
Yes.
Have there been conversations with the school system to donate that right away or give us permission to put the
Oh, yeah,
sidewalks?
that's all
Okay.
inherent. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And for the widening of Dunbar Cave or the realignment project, are there future plans to connect to Dunlop Lane through Cardinal?
Bear with me, I'll get through.
Okay,
it. Yes, absolutely. That includes, I can take back to the slide if you like, but Cardinal Lane and Dunlop, I apologize.
For the traffic to go through?
Yes.
No, there is no current plan
I'm at-
to connect Cardinal all the way over to the hospital.
There isn't.
Okay.
Dunlop Lane.
Thank you.
Professional Park Project, right, yes, okay.
Okay, and the adaptive signals for Wilma Rudolph, is this different than the adaptive signals that were passed 5 years ago in the budget?
They are not.
It's the same?
It is.
It's just the implementation?
This one's been a little bit tough to get between our design firm and TDOT and the comments back and forth. It's been quite a few exchanges, but we're there.
So I guess that's good that they aren't in place now because we're not seeing it. Okay, thank you. And on the East Street sidewalk,
Yes,
I had sent an email last week, and I know you guys are busy, but this might be incorporated with this, that there have been requests from parents in that area for flashing school zone signs, and I didn't know if that could be part of when the sidewalk goes in.
Sure.
Just on that frontage of the school property, because not all the kids go the way around on Peters Mill.
yeah, we had an enormous sum of conversation with Norm Brumbley at the school system. Brian Nelson and Norm have been engaging as to where those need to be and whether they need to be overhead or signalized, similar to Cunningham Lane request. We had one similar over there as well, so
Thank
working in
you.
concert with the school system.
And my last is awesome logo for Northwest High School. Go Vikings. That concludes my
Here, here.
questions. Thank
All
you.
right.
Mic drop.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Kenwood all the way, so.
Oh, man.
You're out of order.
Thank you for, all the information, everything that's been put together. I guess, just real quick, the adaptive signals on Wilma Rudolph, as far as that, I'm looking forward to that. I think it's gonna be amazing. The information, will it be just something that the city will keep, or is TDOT in control of it, or do you know how that's gonna operate and work?
No, the signals are ours. The signals across
Okay.
that area are ours, and it's all built into our boxes. It's additional smart detection equipment that'll go in with this.
Okay, and then with that, there will still be some sort of human interaction needed, right?
Absolutely. Server side, we can make adjustments.
Okay, and then, I know that a lot of the projects going on Peters Mill and stuff like that, especially with the sidewalks. I wouldn't know if you happen to know if there's any plan to repave that area
There is Peters Mill.
from 101st all the way to, Providence?
That's one that our third party has. Yes, sir.
Okay, all
In
right,
this year.
all right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, David, for that presentation. I just have a few questions about Rossview Road, but prior to that, thanks on the update on Dunlap, because I'm still getting a lot of calls on that, so
Yes, sir.
that'd be good to see that right turn lane go in there.
Yeah.
Do you know when that's gonna go, when that's gonna happen?
The
Because it
right
says
turn lane?
completion is gonna be 2023. Is it really gonna be complete in 2023?
We expect that one to be done before the asphalt plants potentially close up this season. Yeah, it's the first one that's going to be awarded. We got the bids back late last week. So as soon as we can contract and send those guys out there, they'll be underway.
Good, okay,
It's
thanks.
largely striping. There's a little bit of asphalt to add, but a lot of it uses the existing infrastructure.
Okay, thanks. Now, Rossview Road, and I've been harping on Rossview Road for a while now,
Yes,
trying to get it widened. Last year, it was on our legislative executive committee, pushed to the state, but of course, it wasn't accepted by the state. So there's no plan right now for the state to improve it beyond what's already approved. So we're talking about a little bit over a mile of roadway. That's 2 lanes with pretty much no shoulders on it. We have big trucks out there. We have people walking, and they're walking the ditch, especially on the north side of Rossview. And my thing is, I would love, and I've been talking to a lot of residents that live in that area, everywhere from Virginia Hills to Somerset to Ellington to Cullen Estates, Page Estates. What is it that they want to see in lieu of the road being widened, all right? Because it may be another 15 or 20 years before that it's widened. So we're looking at, we really want to get some shoulders put on. If we can get on the north side, if we can get all the work done on the north side and then just restripe it, that might be a practical solution. And then also have one sidewalk on the north side. That may be a good solution. And of course, that sidewalk is a little bit off the road for these bike riders and the walkers and things like that. I think that'd be a good solution because also on the south side of Rossview, there's a cemetery, as you know.
Yes.
So that's why we just want to push everything on one side of Rossview, and that can service both sides. And we can just put a pedestrian crosswalk right there where Colony Estate goes across.
Yes.
We can do that, and even maybe one right there at Rossview and the road. That's a lot of problems. I just went blank. But I'll email it to you. But again, just really look at Rossview and try to help us out. Maybe some type of tap or some other type of compromise or split with the state
Sure.
to give us some action on that. Thank
We
you.
may be able to convey that storm water in the ditch
Cool.
through a system of underground utility.
Right.
And then essentially install the sidewalk over top. So yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I also appreciate the hard work that went into creating and showing us all the great work that you guys are doing. I got a little lost. It says purpose, establish connection between high density areas on Trenton and Wilma Rudolph. Phase 2, $30 million and $20 million from TDOT. Is that a hopeful or is that something that's going to happen? I know you said something, but
Sure.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
No, so the total project cost is $30 million. $20 million of that has been approved through the MPO. So that's being submitted to the state.
It has been approved.
Correct.
Okay, okay. There's that one. And then, so we talked briefly before the meeting, but the Whitfield roundabout, I shared it when I sent out my information to the group, but they've updated and passed ProWOG, so the standards and the ADA is changed significantly, and I have concerns as we move forward that we really should review the crosswalk standards and the roundabout standards prior. I mean, we probably are going to have to pay someone to come in and do that, but I would like to know if you are, like, what is your plan since we've had a conversation, or should I make a appointment with you about this?
Well, I would imagine that any one of our sidewalks are presently being designed to the existing standard, and we'd need to review, our consultants would need to review the ProAg update to make sure, is there grandfathering language in there? Would our project has already initiated be endorsed within that capacity? Would it need to be brought up to a level? So there's certainly things that we can ask our consultants of those recent additions or changes that have been made to that legislation.
So just as a city council person, I would ask, since we're right near the school, that we not try to grandfather and that we try to meet the current ADA standards because we're right there in front of a school, and that's an infill area that's becoming very busy. So I would ask that we not look for a grandfather, that we really move forward to meet the new standards in this corner.
There are some complications, I do want to daylight those, that we're beyond the right-of-way phase, and we're under contract to be completed within a certain threshold, of which a certain acronym has already put us well behind. If we look at those standards and we update the project to those standards, it might take us a step back into the design phase, require the contractor to demobilize there may be a potential significant cost. Again, we will certainly field that with our consultants and find out what adherence is required.
Okay, thank you. My next question is the Hazelwood Road in Needmore to Trenton by the school. I get a lot of information about in front of the school, the traffic on Trenton. Is there any way, kind of like what we did on Memorial, where we could consider doing some temporary slowdown and put a light in on Trenton by Northeast? As I know it's not a permanent fix, and that's it. But I mean, I think we've all seen the video that was shared. Could we talk about that.
Well, would that be at Meriwether or would that be at Hazelwood?
That would be, your, like, honestly,
Sure.
what right looks like.
Yeah.
I don't wanna make that decision. I would ask you.
Sure.
Cause if you slow one down, then,
Right.
but I would
Understand.
leave that to your discretion.
What we don't want to do is start committing to projects before we have a chance to analyze it.
Right,
So,
no, that's what I mean,
with
like,
all due
analyze
respect, I'd
that.
rather not get into, will you do this, won't you do that? So we'll add it to the list and consider it.
Absolutely.
And then the last, Old Russellville Pike and Dunbar Cave, that has been funded and it's in the Pike, is that what I understood?
The intersection improvements, the sidewalk where,
Yeah, we were talking.
yes,
Okay. But not, how about the light at Dunbar Cave and Old Russellville?
that's part of the intersection
Part of the
improvements.
intersection, okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
Councilperson Smith, you recognize.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. David. You've done a good job. Congratulations. On Spring Creek, I don't know if you gave us an estimate about the cost.
Yes.
You know, what is the cost for phase one?
Sure. Phase one is already awarded, so we have, we're under contract with the developer to build it at that price. And I don't want to spout from memory, but that is at $15 million.
15 million.
So the guys that are out there working now, they're working for $15 million.
All right, okay. And also, thank you, would there be sidewalks already, sidewalks will be built as the street is built or the parkway
Absolutely.
is built? Okay,
Yeah, any
good.
one of our new road projects include sidewalks.
Okay, and can you tell me about how long or how many miles would the first phase be of Spring Creek?
Of Spring
Parkway?
Creek, what are we in, Chris? We're over half a mile and a half, give or take.
A half a mile?
Mile and a half.
A mile and a half.
Correct.
That's on the first phase.
It is.
What would it be on the second phase?
Ooh, I don't have that in my slides, Chris. What are we at?
About 2 miles,
Just under another mile.
another mile?
Yeah, just,
And then the third phase,
we'll call it a half mile, given the,
so in all it'd be about what, 3 miles, the total?
correct.
Okay, good. Well, that's it for me.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions from council? Again, thank you, David. Thank you, Lauren, Chris, Jimmy, Casey, Lori. Who else am I leaving out? I just work for them. I want to say thank you for all your hard work every single day. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, is there a member of the public that wishes to address the council at this point? Seeing none, ladies and gentlemen, oh, yes, sir. If you will come forward, give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes, and this is a comment, public comment only.
My name is Carl Eisman. I'm down in Wilson Green subdivision. And this addresses the state project that Martin Luther King and Madison Street. The way the state has got it designed, when you're going north on Madison Street and you approach that intersection, they're creating a high-speed turnout to go Martin Luther King to the interstate. There are 2 connections to a business right there. The strip mall that replaced the car wash and the gas station. There's a lot of in and out traffic right there. On one instance, the automatic braking system of my car deployed because somebody came across the street to go into the strip mall. They cut across 4 lanes of traffic to enter there. On one other occasion, somebody coming out of the strip mall cut across 3 lanes of traffic to go left onto Ashland City Road. What I think needs to happen there is a control of perhaps only an entry into that strip mall to at least stop anybody from coming directly out into 5 lanes of traffic from that thing. It's a safety issue that needs to be addressed with the state. I don't know who would control the in and out on that street, signs, etc. But it definitely needs to be addressed. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Eisman. We'll pass it along. Any other member of the public? Seeing none, ladies and gentlemen, we'll stand adjourned and see you Thursday.